And you will all be the main vanguard of the Craig Sigel Sports Hypnosis West training for athletes and business performers. And everything we're teaching here, by the way, and especially today, the way this is going to work, today we're going to do a lot of tools, techniques that are going to be applicable to everything you do. And then tomorrow we're going to get really dialed in on the athletes. So sometimes I might mention athletes, but please talk about, metaphor it in your mind, analogize it in your mind to how can I use this for my weight loss clients? How can I use this for my stress relief clients? How can I use this for anxiety? Because really, it's all the same stuff. It really will be, okay? When people call me and they ask, I want to work with you, unless it's business or sports performance, I pretty much pass them off to my colleagues. And I'm really pleased with that. And at some point, if you haven't already, you'll find your niche. You'll find something that just, you just feel it. This is what you're supposed to do. I didn't know. In fact, I started out doing weight loss. I thought weight loss was my thing. And I worked with a lot of middle-aged men and women who've been struggling for 30, 40 years with weight problems. And here I am sitting there behind my desk doing the consults with them and asking them, and I never had a weight problem my whole life. Now, I kept asking myself, why is it that I keep getting people signing up for my weight loss program? I've never had a weight problem. What? Because I could relate to them in emotional ways, not necessarily through weight. My history is I was the smallest kid in junior high and high school, and it wasn't exactly all that much fun for me. Everybody's calling me shrimpy, and I didn't grow. I didn't even go through puberty till like I was a senior. And so I looked like an 11-year-old kid as a junior, and I barely could see over the wheel. And so when I'm talking to my weight loss clients, I say, I can totally understand what it's like to feel like you're being judged by how you look, by your appearance. And I could just see them connect as soon as I would tell these kind of stories. So, like I said, bring it all back to every aspect, and that's how we're going to do it today. Okay? Let's see. What else do I want to cover here? I repeat myself often, and it's for good reason. There's such a thing as compounding. Everybody hear about that in hypnosis world? So you'll hear me repeat, and it's because when you put the same concept in different contexts, you have a better shot at learning it. Maybe your client doesn't get it this way, but the third time around in a different story, in a different way, so I'm going to teach the same way. And another thing I like to do is ask my clients, and I'll ask you guys, so what do you think? So what is, I'm asked questions like a teacher would, and I do this with my clients in my office all the time. So, well, you'll see how we do it, but I'll ask tons of questions of you guys, and I want to hear it. So that, and that'll give you a shot at, well, I didn't get that. And I'm cool with questions as we go, but we're going to nail them one at a time and not get into long discussions because I want to keep us all on track with what we're doing. Cool? Let's see. Exercises. We are going to do exercises. We'll all get to know each other by the end of the week. And I encourage you to switch partners. They'll be light, easy little exercises. But they're going to be like the core of the kind of things that I teach that are going to be different than everybody else. For instance, one of the things I'm going to cover tomorrow is a section on parts therapy. Now, I'm not going to teach parts therapy. That's a weekend training by itself. But a couple core issues that athletes or that you could use with certain people who are interested in getting better at anything. And we'll do an exercise on that little teeny piece, all right? So even if you've done this kind of work before, go through it for your partner. But also, I'm really big on dialing in and being detailed and specific about everything. You'll see that as we go. And the exercises are designed for you to come back when we're done, we get back together, and have questions, to get really tight, really, what is the essence of what I'm trying to get across here? Okay? Make sense? You will have far more than you need by this weekend to do a great job with athletes. Far more. Like I said, I might give you overwhelm at times. That's good. That opens your mind. In fact, when I'm working with my clients, I purposely will say many times, have I blown your mind yet? And they'll say, no. Oh, good. Well, I need to speed up and give you a lot more. Let's go. See if you can keep up. Because by the time we do hypnosis, I want their mind wide open like, I give, Greg. I give. I'm ready to do some hypnosis. Their brain is so spinning, their analytical mind is out of the way. That's what we want. So, and a lot of times I have flyers, and you'll get these flyers and things that I'm talking about, and I give them to my clients, but I say, no, I don't want you looking at this. I don't want you looking at that right now. Let's just talk. Let's just soak this in. Let's just have a conversation. All right. So let's start with my history. I used to be a FedEx manager, like I mentioned, and the corporation was doing a downsizing, and they offered anyone who is in a salary position to, if they wanted to leave the company, you get a severance package. And I went, woohoo! Let me out of here. And I took the money and I hired a internet marketing coach, because I always wanted to learn how to make money from my home and be able to live anywhere I wanted to. And so the first thing that he taught me, he says, it's all about a title, Craig. Now this applies to your hypnotherapy business. This applies to the psychology of working with your clients. In fact, for the next couple hours here, we're going to talk about things that you might not think are totally all about emotional mastery or about athletes, but trust me, we're going to put it together as we go. And it's kind of the foundation, so just bear with me in the beginning. Feel free to ask questions as we go, and we'll knock them out, okay? So he says, so what do you want to work on? What's your niche? What do you want to do? And I said, well, I like golf. I was just a recreational golfer, fairly good golfer. He says, great, that's a great market. Lots of guys and women, but mostly guys, spending tons of money to get their golf game better. I go, all right, good. I like this guy. He says, okay, so first thing we need to do is come up with a title. Hi, Stan, come on in.
Sorry.
You're fine. Come on in, have a seat. First thing we need to do is come up with a title for everything you're going to do. Okay, get better at golf, lower your score at golf or something like that. He's like, no. He says, what is your golfer's biggest problem? And I said, well, they want to get better, but they don't have time to practice. He goes, oh, that's perfect. That's your product. That's your business. I went, huh? How am I going to do that? I don't know how to do that either. So I went down, this is in Eastern Washington, to the small library there. And we're not talking Seattle or Bellevue Library, folks. We're talking little library, right? And I get a dozen golf books, old golf books. And I bring them home, and I sift through them, and anything in those books that has anything to do with getting better that doesn't require practicing, I pull it out and I start popping it into an outline. Microsoft Word outline. Outline view. Very simple, very powerful. This is how I build all of my products now. Okay? After about a couple months of doing this part-time, this outline is like 40 pages long. It's fragments, and it's just little notes to myself and things and maybe some quotes. And then I take my recording device, which I bought from a musician friend of mine who was just getting rid of it because they have to have the latest, greatest stuff. This was before all the cool stuff we have now. This is in the 90s. And I talk into it with a microphone. And next thing you know, I got 4 hours of me talking. And I send it to somebody who puts it on CDs, pay for some graphics. Voila, this is born. 4 CDs. This is the most basic graphics. These are horrible graphics by today's standards. And just print a couple of the things. This is actually just notes about what's in the 4 hours worth that they can have at a glance. One for their golf bag and one to post up by their desk at home. And I start selling this with his tactics all over the world. And people start emailing me saying, Craig, this is the greatest. Oh my gosh, I've never heard anything like it. And you know what? Most of you who know anything about hypnosis and NLP, oh my gosh, you would say it's so basic. But that is a really powerful concept. Who can tell me who wants to give me a definition of an expert? What's an expert?
I'll try. Somebody who's perceived to be knowledgeable and
somebody who's perceived to be knowledgeable. Very good, very good. That's a good one. Here's my definition. Read 6 books on a topic. You're now an expert. Really? My first business coach said, Craig, You don't need to know everything about your subject. You just need to know more than 90% of the population. You're now an expert. You're good. Because people don't care about credentials and all that stuff. Really, they don't. And I was really hung up on this for quite a long time when I first began. And we'll talk more about getting started as a hypnotherapist. But I want to take... Very good. Keep telling them. Jack, you ever heard of Jack Nicklaus? Everybody's heard of Jack Nicklaus, right? Did you know that Jack Nicklaus said that 90% of golf is mental? So how much time do you spend on your mental game? Oh, you know more than Jack Nicklaus. I get really sarcastic with my questions. Oh, I forgot. Wait, let's see. I'll do it really in a funny way. And I'll do that this weekend too, but it's hilarious. The disconnect, golfers drive me insane. I'm going to cut that out of here. Because they're so brainwashed that they think this is mass hypnosis. And by the way, you will see this in the sports world, and we need to be aware of it. There's mass hypnosis in the sports world. That the only way to get better is to bust your butt and hit a zillion golf balls or work a lot harder in your practice and training or whatever. And a lot of the times it's just breaking them out of their old beliefs and brainwashing. So I like to logic them out of their own stuckedness that way. Anyway, good. All right, welcome everybody. Excellent.
I like that stuckedness.
Yeah. I want to talk about the difference between sports hypnosis and sports psychology. And I'm asked this quite often. You should be able to answer this. And it's really pretty simple. You just tell, I just say, I'm not quite sure what sports psychologists do. I use a lot of sports psychology principles. I bring in personal development principles. I bring in my hypnosis practice, my NLP training. It's just a lot of research and study I've done in all kinds of areas of applied psychology. But I think the big difference is that we're going to the subconscious or the unconscious mind. Bottom line. Now, there are lots of sports psychologists who do use hypnosis. But you know what? Most of them, they don't like using the word. Quite a few of them are afraid of that word and won't use it in their marketing or whatnot. And they use the term guided visualization. Now, there's no difference. It's hypnosis by another word. So, having said that, I have a whole website over here. I got Sports Hypnosis West, which is all about sports hypnosis. I've also got mentaltoughnesstrainer.com, which is mental toughness training for kids and youth sports. I don't use the word hypnosis anywhere in mental toughness training. I use the terms guided visualization. I have no problem with that. It's just labels that people are comfortable with. It's hilarious. In this book, I got asked to write a section. You can check it out at a break or whatnot. But just so you know, there was a big article in the USA Today a couple years ago that I wrote about in there. And by the way, they were asking me and everybody else who contributed in this section on sports hypnosis, how do you get people over the fear of hypnosis or explain what it is and all that? And I was like, are you kidding me? Any hypnotherapist worth his soul can destroy this like that. But this article in USA Today said, it was about this coach in Oklahoma, basketball high school, who was doing hypnosis for his team. I don't know if you know this, there's a famous coach, Phil Jackson, who's just won everything in the NBA forever. And he used hypnosis all the time. So it's starting to get out. But this coach in Oklahoma, he somebody told some parent, and apparently it's this very maybe Bible Belt area, and they went up in arms. This coach got highly sanctioned. I don't know if he lost his job. It went crazy. It went national. And I wrote a little snippet about it. And there was actually a comment, a follow-up article in another newspaper that I referenced, a highly regarded sports psychologist who said, hypnosis is not used with elite athletes or something like that. And I wrote back, I guess you wouldn't call Nolan Ryan, Mary Lou Retton, Rod Carew, Tiger Woods, And the whole list of people, Muhammad Ali, I mean, like, we could go on and on. The 1986 Chicago White Sox, on and on, who have used hypnosis out. We don't even know about the ones who keep it all under wraps, who don't tell us about it. And I was just shocked that it still exists out there. Now here in Seattle, don't worry about it. It's wonderful to practice here. And in part thanks to our friends in Bellevue, Positive Changes. Love those people. I have no clue what they do over there, but the fact that they put radio ads every day and everybody thinks it's great, woo, thank you. That makes it so much easier for us. So I just bless them every day and thank them for that. What do you need to be a good sports hypnotist? And we're just following the outline there if you want to keep an eye on what I'm doing here. All right, it's on day 1 there. Basically, you need to be bold. Right? Athletes, people in the business world, you need to come out. Even if you don't know what you're talking about, pretend like you do. Right? I'm big about fake and pretend. I have seen lots of clients who I had no clue about their sport. Zero. Zero. I'm going to cut this out too. I didn't know anything about soccer. And I've seen, I don't know, a dozen, and it's like, I'm not interested in soccer. Soccer is huge, right?
Yes, it is.
It is a huge sport. I'm just not really interested in it. I must have seen 20 kids for soccer before I ever said, all right, maybe I'll learn a little bit about soccer. I went to the library and got a basic fundamentals of soccer book so I could learn the positions and all that. You don't need to know about the sport. That's my point here. Do not feel like you need to know about your sport, Lisa. You don't.
Joking over here.
I'm here to tell, you'll see what I mean as we go here, but you do not need to know. You do need some excitement and passion for these people and their outcome, whatever it is. Whether it's just, I can see you, even if it's not sports, this goes through everything you do as a hypnotherapist. Even if it's just, you know what, man, I can just see you. You get a piece of their life or something that they're interested in, and then they've forgotten what a vision for what their life looks like. Maybe they're just totally on antidepressants and a horrible relationship and everything's bad. And you just go, you know what? I see the seeds of this life for you. And then you paint that picture and you come out with passion. Now, you can't do that right off the bat if they're coming in and they're on, they're down. You got to work your way into that. But you got to hold that. And sometimes passion means just passionately involved in their problem. Now, I know lots of people talk about centering yourself and blocking yourself from bad energy and things like that. I don't have a problem being across from one of my clients and really caring about their issue and not taking it on. You can do that. Okay? If you need to do your own metaphor of an invisible wall where you're blocking their energy or whatnot, be my guest. Whatever you need to do. But you can. I'm serious. It's easy. I worked for, 2 or 3 years where I was just seeing 20, 30 clients a week. And I just walk out of there, woohoo, after talking about rapes and traumas and all this stuff. And I'd walk out, wow, that was a great day. What's for dinner? You can do that. Just the belief that you can is probably the biggest part of that. Right? And I deeply cared about my clients. Yes.
I have the biggest prime example of that.
Okay.
I had the most unlikely job that turned out to be extremely gratifying. I worked in a funeral home with people when someone had just died. And people go, whoa, how'd you do that? I had so much compassion for them, but like you say, somehow I was able to separate that from me. And I was very good at helping them and understanding where they were, but I didn't go there with them.
Good.
I mean, and it's really interesting when that
doable.
to me is the ultimate, is to be able to every day talk with families when someone has just died and not let it get you down.
The secret is our parts.
Oh yeah.
Slip into this part to be the therapist, slip into the personal part when you get home. I'm really big on parts and how we all, we'll talk about that. All right, good. Now we're moving on to what do clients want?
Just say one thing.
Yeah.
You in saying that we don't need to know about the sport.
Right.
You have here on the outline, which what I was thinking as well, is that the client gives it to you.
Bingo.
I mean, all you have to do is start asking them some questions. What do they want to
That's
do?
right.
Where are they having problems? And,
That's right.
and you start to understand,
Exactly.
excuse me, about the sport that way.
Bingo. Yep. I mean, I've seen people have come to me for Olympic trampolining. I didn't even know that was a sport. Anybody know Olympic trampolining
I
was
think
a
they
sport?
just added it this year.
There've been a lot of.
Oh,
I
really?
think I just heard about it.
Oh, darn. My young kid is probably bumming right now. Yeah, darn it. Yeah, whitewater kayaking and rafting. I had a person who came to me for fear of going through certain rapids and things like that. I don't know anything about those sports. I only knew about golf and football and baseball pretty much when I started this, okay? And you see athletes for everything. I didn't know anything about gymnastics. And has anybody seen the video of me on Evening Magazine with the gymnast on my Sports Hypnosis West site? I worked with a gymnast. Came to me out of thin air. When I first got started in this. And what happens with gymnasts is they get a mental block about going backwards. And it's very common, and we'll dissect what the cause is, but it's basically stress. It's basically stress. So this is where we're going to go here this whole weekend, is undoing the causes of stress. Anyway, nothing about gymnastics. And I just kind of did what I'm teaching you guys here this weekend. Next thing you know, she's at the state championship. It's on TV. Evening Magazine picked it up, and it was like, wow, I'm pretty good at this. And the young girl told me everything I needed to know. They have these crazy names for their moves, the Yurchenko double backflip, spring forward, whatever. I don't, and I just write it down. Say it again, and then I repeat it to them later in their session when it's appropriate. Okay, so you don't need to know about sports. There are people, and by the way, just be honest. Just be honest about it. You know, if someone comes in and is all big about a certain area and they hope you know about it all, just go, well, you know, this isn't my top topic. This isn't my favorite. This isn't the number one, my expertise. But you know what? You have the expertise here. We're going to go off your you have more expertise than both of us need for what we're going to do here. So you're going to give me what I need to do to work back with it. You just be honest about that. You tell them, you're the expert. They go, wow, that's right, I am. And they get all excited about it. They forget about the fact that you don't know anything. And then you're good to go. Does that help? Yeah, and I knew this was going to be a big issue, so I wanted to call it. Clients come in wanting you to fix them. You need to understand that. And all my marketing does not dispel that. But when they get to me, we switch that over. Now, I don't say I can fix anybody. In fact, in all my marketing, I'm very careful not to use words that, you know, I have some magic bullet here, which people think hypnosis is. But I don't dispel the magic they have, because that's fine. And I operate under this market to what they want and give them what they need when they come in there, right? So I want to talk about, we're going to go into now the phone calls and how to turn these people into your clients, because it's foundational for what we're going to keep doing. Anybody want to give me their answer when someone says, hi, how much does it cost? How much do your sessions cost? What do you say?
I always say, well, you know, I always turn it and get them to talk about what's going on, what's not working, you know, how's that feel, what's that look like, how's that affecting your life. Spend a lot of time there.
Good.
First.
Absolutely.
And then small amounts.
That's right.
At the end, selling. I mean, they've already sold themselves.
That's
by the time they
right.
get
The
it out.
quick answer, right off the bat, it depends. That's your transitional statement. Now ask them about them and their issue. Just like Patty said. Yep, exactly. Get them to talk as much as possible about themselves. And a little bit later, we're going to go into the personal history, detailed history, to get some more and how to drag that out of them. They also want confidence of the therapist. Now I'm talking about confidence of the therapist. Some of you are fairly new and work with a lot of people. I was once fairly new and worked with nobody either. Every one of us were at that point. How do we get from there to here? Me, I just fake and pretend. That's it. That's my answer. You do not need confidence to do hypnosis. You do not need confidence to be a great hypnotherapist. In fact, You don't need confidence to do anything amazing. All you need is desire and ability to bring yourself back when you make mistakes. That's it. This confidence thing is so overblown, especially in the hypnotherapy world. So, somebody told me, I think it was maybe my third business coach, who said, Craig, just pretend like you've been a therapist for 10 years. How would you act? Isn't this the kind of thing we do with our clients? How would you be? How would you talk? How would you carry yourself? And I just started practicing that in my head. Fake and pretend, and it eventually becomes real. Now, I actually did a talk for a bunch of wrestlers right before their state tournament. Once again, I didn't know anything about wrestling. Nothing about wrestling. I'll cut that out. No, I won't. I'm going to leave that in because it's very important for a lot of hypnotherapists to understand. Anyway, I'm talking to them, and I'm just doing all my basic personal development and the mind and the subconscious and fear and emotions and all the things you're going to learn. And one of the key things I say to all my clients, including this group, I said, listen, whatever you want to be, just fake and pretend you're that, and it will become your reality. And this kid wrote me back like 3 weeks later after the state tournament, and he said, that was the most profound thing you ever told me. And I got that on, I was really considering putting it in the book, but it's a bit lengthy. And he said, I just wrote it on my whiteboard in my room, I'm a state champion. And I looked at it every single day, and he says, I didn't believe it at first, but at some point, all of a sudden, I felt it. And he said that's what carried him through. And he didn't win the state championship, he came in like second, but he had there's a big old story. And I've heard this many times from my clients since. That day when you said I could just fake and pretend my beliefs and it'll work, he says that freed me up to do everything. Because they're stuck. Remember, they come in stuck, and this is the biggest thing we can do is blast them out of their stuckness. Right? In any way we can do that. Okay. So, like I said, best way is to drop the idea you need it. When I first started, I had no confidence. I said, well, whatever, let's just do this anyway. Let's see what happens. One great thing you can do for anyone dealing with fear, the biggest, the best, most powerful antidote, we'll talk more about antidotes, but the opposite of what's holding them back, is do it for curiosity. Do things because you're curious. Are you curious? And then you'll find through talking to them, find ways in their life that they've been, well, you are curious, messing around. They don't even know where you're going. You're holding on. Let's talk about curiosity. And there's a really cool tip that I learned from one of my business coaches to kind of to try to build up your curiosity as a daily habit. Anywhere you go, this is worth writing down because it's not in the book. Anytime you're going to open a door, anytime you're just about to pick up a phone, anytime you're going to do something you're just not sure of, you say out loud or to yourself, I wonder what this will be like. I wonder what this will be like. And if that's a mental habit, eventually you'll start doing things for curiosity as opposed to trying to get some kind of outcome. It's about being process-oriented. That's your basic applied psychology and sports psychology. Process-oriented, not outcome-oriented. Outcomes generate fears and the worries about them or not, right? Good. You set the frame. Nobody who works with me ever leaves my session saying, hypnosis didn't work for me. Who's had clients or people on the street have said they've done hypnosis and said, it didn't work for me, or it didn't last. Right. Yeah. This is never going to happen to you guys ever again after this weekend. It doesn't happen to me anymore. Because for the longest time, when I was beginning, I did all the techniques and I followed my instructors. And, I was like, did I help them get their success, their outcome? And I'd worry about it. And I do everything I can, and I take it on as my responsibility if they got it or not, and my success rate. Throw all that away. When they come in, we market it to what they wanted. When they come in, we give them what they need, and what they need to own their outcome. They need to take responsibility. And so I spend the whole time I'm working with pounding this in. Okay? You set the frame. You're responsible for your outcome. I don't actually say it that way, yes.
I just thought I'd add, when I'm done with my clients, I do a lot of series of sessions. I send them a client completion form, and I tell them that I'm sending it for them to register their own successes so that they really take ownership of it.
Excellent.
And so there's, several questions they go through that they can actually
Excellent.
list them.
Excellent.
As well as during sessions, I'll do that as well,
Excellent.
but definitely at the end too, so that they really get, this is what they got out of their investment and their time.
Perfect, perfect. I always give homework, and I ask them, did you do your homework? We'll talk about all kinds of homework you can give as we go here forward, especially today. All right? What else? Ways to set the frame here. What else do I do? I'll just be constantly saying things like, so how'd you do that? So when are you going to do this? So why did that work for you? I'll put it into the form of you're doing it. All my words will filter through that. I keep that in the back of my mind through everything I say. And eventually they get the message. Now, I did once, just to underscore the importance of this, I remember I had a person who came to me for hypochondria. Everything makes them sick. And this person thought that everything was going to give them cancer. And I knew right off the bat that this was all about just victimhood. Just like, they're just so at effect of the world. And I spent I'm not kidding you, 5 sessions just working on the empowerment side of it. Working on getting her to own that she can change. Getting her to switch around the fact that somebody's going to fix her. Because that's what hypochondria is, right?
Yeah.
So all the things about, all my normal techniques, yeah, we did them just to fill out. And it was so funny. It was like the 5th session. I knew the stuff we were doing was getting blocked by this empowerment thing. And I was working it in tandem with the peripheral issues, if you know what I mean. Anyway, it got to be we had a 6th session, and I'm looking at the clock, and she's 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late, and I give her a call. And I say, you had an appointment 15 minutes ago. She starts laughing. And I go, what? What's so funny? She says, Craig, you don't get it. I've never missed a doctor appointment my whole life. My life revolves around doctor appointments like you. This is great! I'm so excited! I cannot tell you what was the key there. But somewhere, something opened a door there. I do not know. I just pounded it in. Every session, talking this way with reference to how are you going to do this? And we'll talk more about this. But you set the frame. Nobody ever says, Craig didn't fix me. It didn't work because of that. You do not want that. And I go home every night when I work with people feeling like my partner will say, so how'd it go? You think they're going to get there, whatever, get over their mental block or whatnot? And I go, it's up to them. Now, I've given them everything I've got. And before we do hypnosis, we'll talk about what I like to do to help set that up before hypnosis. I'll say things like, this is you. How are we going to do this? This is your outcome. Where are we at? How did you get there? Right? Okay. I'll go on. I can belabor that all day probably. When people ask, what's your success rate? Or have you had any success with an athlete or a person with this? Anybody got some ideas of what they say? What do you say on the phone about that? Want to try? What do you get?
Yeah, mine is always that the success comes in how people change their way of thinking and the way they feel. And everybody has changes that way.
Good, good.
And something to that line, depending on what they're
excellent.
asking me about.
I got a quote there. What I think you really want to know is, see that there on your book? So we're redirecting to what they really are asking. like Patricia said, don't answer the question. What's your success rate? Have you had success working with whoever's, swimmers, high anxiety, whatever? You do not answer the question. Think about what it is they really want to know. What do clients want? They want to know their chances of getting their outcome. That's what they want to know. So you tell them what they're getting their outcome is determined by, which is the way we operate here. It has to do with my clients who follow my instructions and they're committed to getting their goal and their healing. And of course, when they come to you, you're giving them all the tools, all the homework, everything they need. It's up to them if they get on that bike and ride it or not. We can't ride the bike for them, right? I hold that all the way. And when you're having that phone call, you can present it that way, and they go, wow, they feel really good about that. That I'm in control of whether I'm going to get my outcome or not this hypnotherapist or whatever this practitioner is on the other end of the phone says. It's not up to me. But you come out with this confidence, and you can fake or pretend it. People always ask me, so have you ever worked with a blah? What's the answer to that? I got that down here too. I've worked very successfully with a number of clients with those types of issues. Even if you've never worked with anyone, a number of clients. That number can be 0. I don't have a problem with saying that. I want to say something that gives them the idea that I have confidence, that I do have the experience. Even if you've just been through hypnotherapy school, you've worked with people in your hypnotherapy training with those types of issues. I choose some of these words very carefully so as to stay honest. I'm big on honesty, and also not to dispel their notion that they're going to get their outcome, and that if they just follow my instructions, well, everybody can follow instructions. Well, I can do that, so I can get my outcome, right? Yes, that's right. So we want to give them that. See how I can keep my confidence while doing that? I can be honest. I can give them they can start seeing the picture of, well, all I got to do is follow these instructions and I'll get it too. That makes perfect sense, right? The biggest thing holding us back is our fears. And I've recommended, I'll just say this really quickly. I have worked with lots of hypnotherapists, friends of mine. We exchange sessions. So you got a group here, enough said about that. Get together with someone, work on each other's fears. You'll have some tools this weekend to do that. Okay? Next thing, right now we're just building your confidence as a therapist, your ability to do this kind of work, whether it's sports or anything. Okay? We're still there. Do everything your way. What does that mean? I had an employee once, and she was brand spanking new out of hypnotherapy school, and I taught her all the kind of things you're going to learn this weekend. But you know what? I kept telling her 100 times, take what you're learning from me, but I want you to do it the way you want to do it. Paraphrase. This is far more important than following Craig's techniques. Okay? And I'm going to make you do things kind of on the fly and kind of winging it as we exercise, because I want you to get that feeling like I can just walk on in and some client will, I don't know what they're going to say or do, but I can handle it. That's when you really will project nothing but passion for their outcome. And there'll be no more fears. That's what we're working on, is getting rid of all those fears. So I just kept telling her, well, she says, oh, well, can I have scripts? I want to do it the way you do it. And I said, I'll give you the scripts and that's fine. You can read them, but I don't throw them away. Do it your way. So that's why I'm big on giving you more just like structures. There's a few scripts in here and sections that are crucial. And that's what we'll practice, the crucial. But I want to give you the outline. So you can just go down the list of an intervention. Oh, now I do this, now I do this. And then you'll think about it and do it your way. You are always right. Your clients have no clue what to expect. It's so great about our profession. You can do whatever you want. Okay, I'm not kidding. I've said this so many times. I think I can go into sessions now, and as long as I do this other stuff, which I'm teaching you right now, I swear I can wave chicken wings and they'll get their outcome. Because I don't really know if hypnosis and hypnotherapy is real. I don't know what happens in the brain. Nobody's been able to prove anything. For all I know, and I'll even admit this to my clients, for all I know, everything we're doing is placebo effect, and who cares? Let's get your outcome that way. And I'm cool with that. I'm totally fine with that. Okay? Look, when I come from this area, when I come from this theme of it, you're going to do the work, and yeah, we're going to do hypnosis, but you know what? Who knows if it really is, but it's up to you. It's so funny how they just get in line. They just go, well, okay. It blows away their fears about, am I hypnotized? And you get to sleep at night, not wondering and worrying, did that person go into hypnosis or not? We'll talk a little bit more about that, but I blow away any of for us as hypnotherapists to build our confidence. There is no reality. There is no better or best. There is no good. All those things, just get rid of them. It's just you and another person connecting. That's the heart of what we do. And if you just really sink your teeth into that, you as a human being and your personal experiences are the gold, and you're caring about them. What is that old saying? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Right? That's more important than the techniques. Right? So I prefaced that enough. Okay, let's move on to the next section there. For your websites, for your sessions, we're back onto what do they want? What do your clients want? They want proof. Put on scientific studies on there. Go to pubmed.gov, or I think that's what it's called, the government website.
Yeah.
And when I first started, I just copied a segment and links to the study on PubMed for all the issues I was working on. Hypnosis proven to work for XYZ. Yes.
Say that link again.
I think it's PUBMED.
You can search it too.
Yeah,
.gov.
.gov.
G-O-V.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's tons of studies on hypnosis. So even if you've never worked with anyone, you borrow from other people's having done the work, and there's tons of them. It's great. They get to your website, even if you have no testimonials, you never work with anyone, there's your testimonials, because they want to know that it works, right? You ever hear the positive changes? Radio commercial says, it works. Why? Because that's what everybody's asking. Does it work? Does it really work?
Yeah.
Well, I don't even call it an it. I try to get them off of it. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I don't even call hypnosis an it. It's something we do. Hypnosis is a verb. It's like asking, does riding a bike work? Well, of course it does if you get on it. I get them out of this frame that they have, and I create the frame. Hypnosis is a verb. It's something we're going to do, something you're going to do. I can't hypnotize you. In fact, I'll say all the time, I go to parties and network events, and people say, wow, you're a hypnotist, Craig? Yeah. Can you hypnotize me? I say, no. What do you do all day then? I said, I help people get into a hypnosis. I help guide people into it. They do the hypnosis. I don't have the ability to hypnotize anyone. You do the hypnosis. I'm really big on all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. Why? What I talked about before, puts them in charge. We want that going through everything here. And if you get that, oh my gosh, you can wave chicken wings. The techniques, and you'll just take what you want. You'll take what you got from me this weekend technique-wise, and you'll mold it into you. You'll mold it your way. Like, this is just a bunch of 12 books. This was before I learned anything about hypnosis or NLP. This is 12 books molded into me. That's it, I just packaged. And people loved it. Cool. Let's see. Oh, here's another thing I say on the phone and getting leads to want to come to me. I'll say, I don't work with people long term. I said, there's other practitioners that do that. And if they're in my office, I work in a suite of psychologists. No disrespect there. God love them. I've seen some myself, and I've got great help from psychologists. I said, I don't want people coming to me for long term. So I want you coming to me for For the short term, I'm going to teach you how to use your mind. I'm going to teach you the tools. I'm going to help you clear the stuff while you have me and give you the ability to keep yourself clear when we're done. We have a short-term process. People love this. Make sure you say this in your introductory phone call or on your website or the first thing they get to your office. They really, especially on the phone call, because they're scared to death. You're going to say it's going to take 12 sessions, maybe, or indefinitely. That's what they're kind of used to. And you spell out the process, which we're moving on into here. Yeah, and I say, and they also want to know, well, you know, I don't believe you, Craig. You know, everybody wants clients to keep coming to them and paying them money. In the back of their head, they're kind of thinking that. So I answer that question. In fact, everything I'm talking about, I'm answering the questions in their head before they ever ask them. So the way I answer that one is I'll say, you know, the way I get clients is, the way my business works, the way I continue is my clients are so happy is that they go out and tell 5 people.
That's right.
And I've just seeded the fact I'm going to want you to tell 5 people about me when you get your outcome. And when we're done, I ask them to go tell 5 people, right? This is, and truly, it's how my business continues. This is how it works, you know? But they really appreciate the fact that you tell them, I don't work with people long term. You know, I've got a process here, and that's what we're going to move into in the next section, our system, tools, takeaways, homework, recordings. Let's go over how I answer the phone, okay? Hi, I'm interested in sports hypnosis I'm interested in sports hypnosis for my son who's 16 and plays soccer. What can you tell me about sports hypnosis? And I say, well, tell me what his issue is. As Patty said, what's going on with them? That's the first thing we want to do. Get them to talk. Don't answer any questions. So then we're dragging out, oh yeah, well, Johnny has trouble out there in the field when it's crunch time or whatever. And I just keep asking questions. Great. So what I have a 4-session process. And in that process, he's going to learn thought control. This is right here. He's going to learn my emotional mastery system. He's going to learn self-hypnosis. We're going to clear all his mental baggage. And when we're done, I'm working in a short period of time here, he is going to be his own best therapist. He's going to be able to keep himself clear. He's going to have a set of tools that he can use for all areas of his life. Sport, school, relationships, and ultimately his health. You're going to do that in 4 sessions? That's right. They're like, when do I sign up? What's the next step? Right? And of course, I'll tell them what the costs are. But you never give prices until you've built the case for what your prices are. And I charge $200 a session. And that's high-end hypnotherapy, even for Seattle.
How long is your session?
Usually about an hour and a half. And I'll say, yeah, they'll ask me, so tell me about a typical session, or if they don't ask, I'll say it anyway. A typical session lasts an hour and a half. First part of the session, I'm either asking a bunch of questions, trying to find out what's going on with you, or I'm teaching him or you one of my tools and techniques, like I described. The second part of the session, we're going to do hypnotherapeutic interventions, or hypnosis, and that's where we're going to clear the baggage, the mental blocks, or implant some of the things that are going to work for you. Boom. It's like, let's do this. It rarely, I want you guys to have that high conversion rate. Conversion rate means someone who's interested into a paying client. And I studied conversion with three business coaches now. So you're going to get a lot of cool stuff about that. You see, having a program like that it takes the psychology of why positive change is so powerful or so successful, right? It's like this is a big building. They're on the radio. It must be real. And they got a system. People love systems. I actually, and I got this idea when I was doing weight loss. I belonged to a program called Slender for Life, and I recommend it if anybody wants to do that. You can ask me about that. And it was a process and a program, and I would tell them, this is what you're going to get. this is the modules, and people really appreciate that now. You guys are welcome to just copy mine, use it verbatim. They're going to learn thought control, they're going to learn emotional mastery, the self-hypnosis. We got to do all of this at the conscious level, at the thinking level, and at the unconscious level. That's the difference between what I do and what maybe some other practitioners do. We do both sides. We have to handle the mental and emotional habits and patterns that you do on a regular daily basis, and we got to go in the inner mind and clear the underlying stuff. All in that package. Boom, they're ready to go. Okay? Be outcome-based and not hypnosis-based. I'm really light on using the word hypnosis. Even with people coming to me for hypnosis, they're looking for that. We're talking about what they're going to get. Remember, market to what they want their outcome. So, in my youth sports market, I'm the mental toughness trainer. Don't use the word hypnosis because it's all about getting mental toughness. So if you're working on stress, if that's your thing, what does it mean to be de-stressed? You just constantly talk about those words, and not so much heavy on the hypnosis. Hypnosis is just a tool, and I've got a whole bunch of tools. You're going to learn emotional tools. You're going to learn thought control tools. You're going to learn new ways of perceiving your world, new ways of reframing things, right? And you're going to have the ability to keep yourself clear. Because I want you to get X. I can see how you can get X. Okay, that's how you talk in the marketing in the beginning. Yes.
I have a question for you. When you first said thought control,
Yes.
it's kind of like if somebody's coming in and they're saying, well, thought control, is he going to control my thoughts?
Yeah.
You know, I've never had anybody say that.
It's
I can
just
see
me.
that.
That was my first thought control.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are afraid of that.
Yeah, I've never had any response on that, but feel free to change it around. I'm going to teach my clients how to get control of their thoughts.
Right. Okay, yeah. And when you say it that way,
Yeah.
I completely understand.
I'm glad you brought that up for everybody. I'm still going to
Feel
keep
bad.
saying thought control because that's me.
Oh, okay.
And remember, you do everything your way. But great point. I really like those kind of points so everybody can hear. Is I'm not the ultimate be-all, end-all of hypnosis. I do things Craig's way. I'm going to teach you everything I know, so you can pick and choose what you like. You can mush it into yours, and that's a good point. Really good point. Good. Okay, now here's what I'd like to do next. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute exercise here. We're going to pair up. All right? And we're going to do a quick little phone call to each other. Yep. If you want to go outside, there's plenty of room outside. Pick a partner. You can just spread. You can just do it right where you're at. That's fine. And what we're going to do is, the client is going to call and ask, how much are your sessions? I really want you to actually do this and use your cheat sheet here. Bring your book with you. How much are your sessions? And they're going to ask, tell me about your hypnosis. All right? And you're going to ask, as a client, your success. Just those 3 points.
I think what you're saying our cheat sheet is.
The book.
Number one.
The things I mentioned.
Front page, how much
Okay,
are
here's what
your
explain. Let's see. I actually, the outline. Okay, like one of them is I've worked very successful. Back on page 1, where I quoted. In fact, you might want to circle these. I wish I had put these on one page. Sorry. Towards the second, third, where it says fake and pretend like I did. I've worked very successfully a number of clients with those types of issues. Circle that. That's part of your cheat sheet. Right underneath, what I think you really want to know is, what are my chances of having success? Page 1. Page 1, bottom half, where it says, I've worked very successfully with a number of clients. Circle that, use that. What I think you really want to know is, so that's where you're going to turn around where somebody asks you about your success. I want you to do this kind of as a fluid thing, you know. The client is going to use these in any way they want, and then you as a as the phone answer, you're going to answer it any way you want. And these are your guides. All of my clients who follow my instructions and are committed to getting their goal are successful. Okay, you can use those. Those are just your guide. You can do it your way. I don't care. I'm giving you. You can do it verbatim, whatever works for you. I'm totally cool with you guys stealing everything I'm teaching you verbatim, if you want. I prefer, just because you'll have more confidence, and I want you to have all the passion and confidence by doing it your way. But if you want to just read it and be in that habit, because believe me, this builds what we're going to do next. Okay. This makes sense?
Yes.
And then go back to the next page, thought control, emotional mastery, self-hypnosis, 4 sessions plus, the upper half. Circle that so you have that handy.
Is that the tell me about? Is that the tell me
Yes,
about? Yeah.
that's right. That's what you'll do and tell me about. Right. So kind of write these questions down as a client. And let's just do 5 minutes per person. Does everybody understand the exercise? Okay? All right. So 10 minutes? I'll say in 5 minutes to switch. Ready?
Oh, wait, well, it's fine.
Use GarageBand on my Mac. Oh my God.
Not so much right now, but
Having said it's easy, I couldn't figure it out when I first started. Want to know how I figured it out? And I've done a lot of things this year. I put an ad on Craigslist. Is there somebody who can teach me GarageBand? I'll meet you at a coffee shop and I'll pay you $20 for an hour. And I give them college kid who's starving, and they spend an hour, and they teach me GarageBand on my computer.
Well, you know that it's still no gap.
There you go. Yeah. On the total app.
you know, the rental.
I was just talking to somebody yesterday, and I said, a number of years ago, when I first started practicing this gal had an iPhone, for most everything, for the sounds and whatnot. And